Hello, everyone.
How's it going?
Welcome to episode 4 of Smoke the Podcast. Thank you, everyone, for joining in and staying loyal and listening to our podcast.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
This is going to be our, Christmas time episode here. So we got some pretty fun topics in store. Merry Christmas to everybody. So what are we smoking today? The cigars are already lit?
Yes, so we got the V.S.O.P or V.S.O.P Vintage Reserve. These are a Maduro, by the way.
Our whiskey today is going to be Jameson Gold Reserve.
Oh, nice.
It's a pretty good one, only for special occasions.
For Christmas occasions.
Our firearms topic today is going to be Christmas gifts. Or gifts in general for the gun owners out there, the gun owners in your life.
Yeah, that's a great topic, especially considering the holidays. It's always hard to find gifts for people, so it's we got some great ideas for you.
Yeah, we got a lot of variety from cheap stuff, inexpensive things, I should say,
all the way up to a very expensive gift ideas. So it'll be exciting to kind of go through all of this.
All right, so let's get into this. Let's get into the cigar.
Yeah, so the cigar, again, is a V.S.O.P or V.S.O.P Vintage Reserve. So I'm just going to read you a little bit of what we researched on the V.S.O.P. So the V.S.O.P Torpedo Maduro is a premium handmade cigar with a delicious combination of flavors and aromas. The flavors of the V.S.O.P Maduro cigars are heightened by the zest and subtleties of a unique premium Indonesian leaf that wraps choice quality Dominican long filler and binder. All the leaves used in the fine cigars have been carefully and patiently put through an aging process that ensures quality. Once the leaves have been selected for their quality and appearance, they are left to age for 3 years in a climate-controlled barn. When it comes out of that barn, the tobacco is transformed to generate smoother, complex flavors that result in a premium cigar smoking experience. Despite the top shelf taste, the price for these V.S.O.P cigars is a fair deal to even the pickiest cigar lovers. So that was quite a bit of a description. To give you an idea, though, Maduros typically, for those of our listeners that don't smoke too often, Maduros are generally considered a darker wrapped cigar. Now, it doesn't always mean that it's a strong cigar. It just generally means that the tobacco is a much darker color. Oftentimes, these are considered very dark but very smooth cigars, which is funny because we were typically associating smoothness with Connecticut wrapped cigars. In this case, this is probably going to be fairly smooth, but then we also obviously read about some of the zest. So I have a feeling these are going to get a little maybe spicier, going to have a little bit more of a bite than what we're used to, and it may be a little more potent than what we're used to. These are considered more of a medium-bodied smoke.
Well, I'm about halfway through the first third already. The ash is a nice white color. Burning a pretty straight line. We had a little bit of an issue with the lighter, so
yeah.
I didn't have the cleanest of lights, and it's still holding pretty good.
Yeah.
As far as the flavor goes, I definitely taste the spice. Not too bad though. As I've said before, I'm not as sophisticated as a cigar smoker as a lot of people, but I could taste the difference between this and a Connecticut. It does taste a little more full-bodied, even though I think this is more of like a medium-bodied.
Yep.
It's has more body than your typical Connecticut.
Yeah.
I can tell that for sure.
Yeah. So what I'm noticing on mine is that I've got a pretty sharp edge on here. Again, despite the poor lighting ability that we had with this lighter here. The flavor on it's definitely fuller. There's a little more spice to it, but it's not peppery. Like, I'm not getting a burn off of it.
No.
It is still very, very smooth for being a dark or a full-bodied cigar. I was not expecting the smoke to come out of here that smooth. In fact, I was almost, I mean, we'll see how it goes further on, but I was almost worried that this would be very strong right off the gate.
Well, you know, I'm not sure if it's just the color, you know, the dark chocolate-looking color, but it does give me kind of a chocolate flavor.
Yeah, it does.
And like I said, that could be in my head because of the color of the cigar, but that's primarily what I'm tasting right now.
Yeah, the nice thing off of this is the draw, really, really good. I have no issues with my draw, and I think obviously I cut it well, as you know. And
this is a torpedo, correct?
Yes. So this is a torpedo. So again, it kind of gives you the option to have either a thinner or a larger draw. The other thing too is there's quite a bit of smoke coming off of this, and I really like it actually. I was not expecting the volume of smoke.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this so far.
So one other thing that I'd like to note, because this is our Christmas episode or our Christmas special, and because we are doing some more like reserve or a little bit higher end special occasion cigar and whiskey, there is a unique fact about this particular cigar. Actually, these particular cigars. So these two cigars were passed down to me by my grandfather in 2009. So almost 10 years ago. They've been in my humidor, and they've been well cared for.
They have been well cared for. I will say that these are in very good shape.
Probably, to be honest, in better shape than I received them.
Yeah.
And they were actually a gift to my our grandfather.
Yes.
Sorry, our grandfather. We have the same grandfather. They were a gift to our grandfather from the late, but the great Gunnery Sergeant R. Lee Ermey. For those of you who are not familiar with Gunnery Sergeant R. Lee Ermey, he is most famously known for being the drill sergeant featured in the movie Full Metal Jacket, as well as the Green Army Man on all of the Toy Story movies. And he also had a very popular show on History Channel called Mail Call, and he's been in a bunch of other shows and movies.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of movies.
Yeah, so he's a pretty popular guy as far as the movie and military community is concerned, and also a big fan of Glock firearms. I think he was sponsored by them for a while.
Yes, actually, my grandfather gave me a coin that he had given him, that Lee Ermey had given my grandfather. It's a Glock.
That's
Glock
awesome.
Coin, yeah.
That's super cool. So we are literally smoking Gunnery Sergeant Lee Ermey cigars.
And these are, from what my grandfather said, these are what he preferred to smoke
on the golf course.
Yeah. Which is how my grandfather knew him. So, yeah, a little fun fact.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the whiskey.
Sounds great.
All right, so we're doing Jameson Gold Reserve, and we'll go ahead and do the pour, and I'll read you some descriptions. Description that I pulled from whiskeyexchange.com. I believe this is discontinued from Jameson.
Oh, wow, okay. So that's a little fun fact there. Perfect pour there. I'll have about the same. Thank you.
All right, cheers.
All right, cheers. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Let's get this on the nose real quick. According to whiskeyexchange.com, on the nose, very appealing aromas of sweet spice, toasty oak, and dried fruit.
I'm smelling the dried fruit.
I smell the dried fruit.
I'm not really getting much else out of that.
Yes, dried fruit, 100% for me. On the palate, lovely palate weight and mouthfeel. Subtle fruitcake spices are joined by honeyed fruit and spicy oak. Very Moorish.
Moorish.
Huh. Yeah, I've never heard that before.
Okay, we'll have to look that up later.
And the finish is a good balance with the fruit, oak, and spice intermingling beautifully.
All right.
So based off of that, let's see what we taste.
All right. Oh, that's good.
Oh, this is very good. A lot of flavor in these things.
Wow. Yeah.
This is a little more of a higher end. Well, at least for us anyway. I mean, it's not a high end by any means, but this was on I think I saw this on Total Wine for $90 for the bottle.
Oh wow, yeah.
A 5-star review, and it is discontinued.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's delicious. You definitely taste. To me, all I'm tasting in that is like dried fruit. It's the aroma and the taste of fruit in that is spot on, which is weird because I don't ever think of whiskey as being fruity or having like a.
Yeah, for me, I don't know. I feel like the fruit is mostly in the aroma. Again, I still smell the dried fruit, but I taste the spice. It's very good.
Yeah,
a lot of flavor, and like I said, I'm not a connoisseur of fine whiskey. I just like to drink.
Yeah,
and I'm really enjoying this. It's really smooth, no burn at all going down.
Yeah.
It's what I would expect from a $90 bottle of whiskey for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would be pleased. If I were to buy that definitely is not disappointing at all. I like it. It's good. It's really good.
All right, so on to the day's topic. Christmas gifts for the gun owner. For hunters or anybody who's involved in firearms. Like anything else, a gift has to be tailored to the person.
Right. Yeah.
What do they need? What do they do? So go ahead. What do you think?
Well, you're right. I think it's, you always hear that phrase, well, it's the thought that counts, when it comes to a gift. And I think it's hard sometimes for someone who maybe, is into shooting sports because it can be very particular, just like any other sport. I mean, sometimes it's like, what would you get someone who plays golf or some of these other sports if you're not familiar with it? And so obviously that's kind of what we're here for, but we're also, we're cousins, so we exchange gifts and stuff, and it's always sometimes, again, more about the actual thought behind the gift than about the gift itself. And so I think, kind of going through some of these, it's going to give you guys some great ideas, and we've got some great ideas, and we can share some of the gifts that we've received, and some of the gifts we've given too as well, that have gone over well, and some that haven't gone over so great.
So a little something that I think is unique to the guns as a hobby.
Yeah.
Unlike other hobbies, I'm very picky. I for example, I'm a guitar player, and I know like guitar picks are cheap, but I only use one kind of guitar pick, and that's it. I only use certain strings, and things like that are different from guns because there's a lot of things that you can buy a gun person that they would like, because there's
right.
There's so many different things that you can do. It's different from other hobbies where you shouldn't be afraid to buy somebody something,
right?
Just because you don't know what they would like, or those
Absolutely.
Types of things.
Yeah. No, I think that's one of those things where in this particular case, I think having the option to kind of really just have a lot to pick and choose from, and a lot of things that you can kind of go one way or the other without like you said, getting that one thing that you have the same type of pick that essentially you use the same every time. No one's going to know that except you or someone who's very close to you with guns. Yeah, you have the freedom to get a lot of different things. So that actually leads me kind of into our first point is, what is a really good, like, casual or even just like cheap, not in the sense of cheap material, but just something that you could, like a quick and easy gift that you could get for someone who's into guns. Yeah. Inexpensive and just, kind of a quick, easy, casual gift. And some of the things that we thought of right off the top of the head is range bags, cleaning kits, and tools. Those are must-haves for any gun owner. Whether you own, a wide variety of guns or whatever it might be, you can always use a range bag. You can always use cleaning kits and tools to work on your guns. Those are things that wear out over time. So even if they have someone who has a brand new cleaning kit and a range bag, I mean, you always have too much gear and you need places to store it,
yes,
you can never go wrong. Cleaning kits wear out. You always are going to need extra parts and pieces. I think my cleaning kit is actually made up of like 4 or 5 different cleaning kits all combined kind of into one toolbox, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens. You use up all the degreaser and, the, all your little cleaning sprays and everything. Your gun lube, all that.
Your or the bristles on your on the brushes start to wear out pretty quickly,
and then you just start replacing that stuff, and you buy another kit or you buy another can of whatever.
Yeah, and before you know it, you have like a Frankenstein kit of like I said, 4 or 5 different kits all in one box, and those are some things that you can really never go wrong with. If it's a guy who's into maybe building AR-15s or anything on that platform, I know there's a lot of really great tools that you can get, specific hex wrenches and a torque wrench and things like that. Obviously, that's a little more specific, but tools are always a great thing for any gun owner. Yeah,
they have mats for gun cleaning that you can put your guns on, and it makes your parts a lot easier to see. They're bright, like green color. There's a lot of different things that, when it comes to tools, that are very, very, very useful.
Well, and there's some really great options on microfiber rags, cleaning cloths, things like that. A lot of the times people overlook that, and it's horrible when you run out of all that stuff, or they're all greasy and oily, and you have to tear apart like an old T-shirt to try and, And so it's really nice to have some actual nice stuff that you can devote to.
Yeah, and to be honest, a lot of shooters... they take a lot of good care of their guns, but it's almost sometimes it's not something they spend a lot of money on.
Right.
And you're out buying ammo, and you're out buying targets, or paying for your range fees and stuff, and it's kind of like goes down on the list of things to buy. Right. I need to clean my guns after you get home and you're already tired, and then you put it off.
Yep.
If you have all that stuff with you, it just makes it way easier. It's like, all right, let's get the gun stripped and cleaned, and get them all in the safe, and ready for the next trip out.
Yeah, absolutely. Another great thing that you can get anyone who's just kind of, and again, another casual or inexpensive gift are knives and flashlights. And this one is actually, I would say, a little more personal to both Theodore and myself. We're both collectors of knives. Our grandfather collected knives, anything from buck knives to multi-tools to pocket knives to fixed blades and lock blades. It's just, that was just something that we did. And same with flashlights too. That's more Theodore's thing than mine. But
yeah, I'm a little bit of a flashlight nerd.
But it's typically that's what you see in the gun community. Guys that like firearms and love shooting and shooting sports always carry a good knife with them and generally have a good flashlight on them. Yeah,
they're very important things. And a good flashlight and a good knife. It's one of those things where, when they say you can never have enough of them.
Yeah.
I have a flashlight that I carry on me every day. But if I was to get another one, I can keep one in my car.
Right.
You can keep one in a bag, like my everyday carry bag or whatever. There's, 1,000 uses for something like that.
Right. Yeah. No. So right now, actually, I carry one with me every day. There's one in all of our vehicles. There's one pretty much in every room of our house, and it's an important thing to have. Yeah. People
underestimate, having a flashlight in like a first aid kit. It's really important to be able to see what, if somebody has a cut, to clean it, and it's always good to have a good light on you.
Yeah. Well, and even during the daytime too, if you're having to look in the action of a gun to see if there's something hot in there or whatever. I mean, it might be bright outside, but you can't actually see inside, some of these tight spaces. So having something to light that up is really great. So those can range from very inexpensive, but also can be very, very expensive. So that's kind of a great little thing, depending on, how much you need to spend on someone. And no gun enthusiast, no shooting sports enthusiast or hunter is ever going to turn down a knife or a flashlight. It's just,
definitely not.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, oh man, that's awesome. You always have a use for it. So next on the list would be pistol safes and storage, and this goes for ammo as well. So ammo storage, ammo cans, ammo tins, But yeah, the small little compact pistol safes are actually pretty reasonably priced
very
nowadays.
reasonably priced now, yeah.
And it's a great gift to have, even if you already have one or two. I mean, you can put them throughout the house, and they're really, really great to have.
Yeah, and ammo cans also are one of those things that you can get for real cheap. The other thing that a lot of gun owners can use is locks. Yes. Different size locks, different kinds of locks.
Yeah.
All the ammo cans come with little holes so you can put a padlock on them.
Right.
And things like that come in handy, especially when you're trying to, keep little children out of it, and not to get in all your stuff.
Right, yeah, and that's great. Trigger locks are always a good gift as well too for rifles, generally like the bolt action rifles and things that maybe you can't run cable locks through. Cable locks, I would say, are a great gift, but you have to buy so many of them in California now that
yes,
I have more than I actually even have guns.
Yeah, and it's in California, if you don't. You have to have purchased the cable lock within 30 days of the purchase of the firearm, so you're going to end up having to buy another one anyway. So.
Yeah, so that's one of those ones I say just stay away from cable locks. Another great gift that a lot of people don't think about is a trauma kit. First aid kits are always great too, but more importantly a trauma kit or any kind of trauma items, tourniquets, things like that. And those can be very expensive. And that's one of those things where, when it is expensive, you kind of, it's one of those things where I look at it as like, yeah, it's expensive, but it's going to save a life. And that to me is priceless.
Yeah. But the thing is, the whole thing's expensive if you want, depending on what size kit you want and what you want it to do. But individual components of it could be pretty cheap, if you want to just buy a tourniquet or, something that's not, too expensive off the bat.
Right.
Just pieces can be helpful. But
piecing my trauma kit together was actually that was the reasonable way to go rather than just buying it outright. So,
but I've always subscribed to the philosophy that you're going to carry or use something that can take a life, then you might as well. You have to have something that can save one also.
Yeah, absolutely.
To me that's just as important, especially in California where you can't carry a firearm everywhere.
Yeah.
I can carry a trauma kit everywhere.
Yes. You can always have that on you.
And even if it's not a shooting or anything, stuff happens, where that can potentially save somebody's life.
Absolutely.
Or, just buy them enough time to see a doctor or get to an emergency room or whatever.
Right. Yeah. That's a great kit, or a great tip, I should say, for any outdoor enthusiast, whether they're into shooting, hunting, fishing,
even if it's just hiking.
Yeah, it's always good to have. You never know when you're going to come across something where you're going to need a trauma kit. So, and then last but not least, kind of on the list of inexpensive or casual gifts, would be ammunition and or gift cards. And the reason why I group these two together is I always say, for Christmas or birthdays, I want cash, gift cards, or ammunition, because they always joke that ammunition is going to be the form of currency in the meltdown, when the world ends. But so I always joke about that. But yeah, ammo is a great gift. Ammo can be one of those ones where it can be really tough if you don't know the caliber size or the gauge or whatever it is that you need to purchase. But if it's something simple like 9mm or 45, where you just it and it's easy, that's always a really great gift. No shooting sports enthusiast is ever going to go, oh, I really didn't want an extra box of ammo.
Yeah, that's true. Even, people may be concerned about not knowing what type of ammo. I mean, just, cheap ammo, just target ammo is good because it'll get shot. Yeah. I'm not going to expect a family member of mine to buy me, the self-defense ammo I'm going to use. That's something a little more personal. Right. But I will use any kind of target ammo or, cheaper ammo at the range, and that's where you get your practice in with. And it's a pretty good gift to give. If you know the kind of guns that they have, the person you're buying for. Right.
And like I said, when all else fails, just get them a gift card. It's always easy. You could pick out your own gift, and it just makes things easier. It's not as personal, but anyone would be happy to have one. So
yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
But that goes for anything. It's definitely it's a good gift. People underestimate the power of a gift card.
Gift cards. I have to say, I love it when I get cash and gift cards.
I do too. I like to buy for myself. And,
Right.
You know, I maybe got this from my mom. She's a bargain shopper, and I like to find good deals and price things out. And with gift cards, you get to do that.
Right, and it pains me to find out that someone spent like X amount on something that I knew was on sale the week before or something. I don't know. Yeah,
especially us. We're kind of in the community where we see good deals, and we're always kind of looking at, sending each other links.
Great,
like, hey, this is a good deal. Check it out.
Yeah.
If you guys are in the market for this.
It's funny, for as much as we spend on everything, we're actually very thrifty, I would argue, in comparison
you
to
kind of
some
have
of the
to
guys. Be. Yeah, you really do if you want to do a wide variety of stuff in the shooting sports world. So,
okay, what about a different category? You want to move on to, let's say, keepsakes?
Yeah. So this one's in my opinion a really, really cool category. Mm-hmm. But the problem with this category is it's kind of limited.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, I mean, your friend from college or high school is not going to bring you some family heirloom. I mean, so these are typically reserved to more of a family purchase or a special occasion purchase. But with keepsakes, it's great. I mean, you have family guns that have been passed down from generation to generation. We have a lot in our family already. Mm-hmm. Any heirlooms related to shooting sports, and that goes with, same thing with hunting knives. Like I said, our grandfather collected knives. So he's got a lot of really, really cool old knives that they probably don't make anymore, or very few of them exist. And so things like that are always really, really great and extremely thoughtful gifts to give.
I'll give you an example. My grandfather, for my birthday one year, gave me a shotgun, the shotgun that I used to hunt. And, that is very, very special to me because it is a keepsake. It was his shotgun, and he used it. And, it's not just a shotgun. It has stories attached to it.
Yeah.
Another gift that the same grandfather gave me was my first knife. He gave me a buck folding knife. I believe he wanted it in a golf tournament because it has a little mural of a golfer on it. And I remember I was 13, and he saw me. I was staring at it like, oh, look at that, it's cool. You want a knife, and he gave it to me. Said, I was finally old enough, and that knife is in a different spot than every other knife that I ever owned.
Right. Yeah, it was the same grandfather. On my high school graduation, gave me a Remington 700 chambered in a 270 for deer hunting, and a gun that he had used and has some stories behind it, which was very, very meaningful to me. I've been the recipient of a couple knives from him as well. Something that's not necessarily a gun or a firearm that he's given me that I've taken very, very great care of. Two things are his military web gear, which we talked about in the dove hunting episode. That I carry that. That's my rig. That's what I carry to hunt with. That's what he carried to hunt with, and so there's no rig that will ever be as good as that. I mean, you could get as high tech as you want, but to me, that's always going to be the best rig I own. The other thing were his cowboy hats, and although it's not a shooting or firearm or hunting related, to me, that's kind of, I could put that in the same category because I've worn them out while doing some of these things.
Oh yeah, most definitely, and that should give you an idea of you can only get keepsakes from certain people in your life.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not something that somebody can buy you, or
right.
that's something that has to be passed down, that has
right.
history.
Yeah.
That it's very important to you, your family, everybody.
Well, and on that, actually, on two great keepsakes I received was from another uncle on the other side of my family, and the one that he gave me that just still blows my mind is a Lee Enfield British World War II era rifle. And that was an amazing gift to receive. I was young at the time, really, really interested in World War II history. And as we go and record more episodes, you'll probably learn that I'm a huge military weapons buff, but just a World War II buff in general. And just something I really love and appreciate. And so that was a really great gift from him, and that was passed down. Something that wasn't passed down, but to me is now an amazing keepsake, was a limited edition Bowie knife that he gave me when I got the rank of Eagle Scout. And so, again, not anything that he owned or carried or used, but it's something that to me has a large sentimental value and actually has a lot of practical use as well. So I've carried it on almost every backpacking trip I've ever been on. So
that's awesome.
Those are some great gifts, great ideas for any family members that you think would appreciate something that maybe you've inherited or have used over the years.
Okay, let's move on to if you're a father and you're trying to buy your son a gift.
Okay.
What are some good ideas to maybe introduce a really young child into shooting sports and safety and, or maybe your son's a little older and you want to get him his first gun.
Yeah.
We've talked about first gun purchases previously, so we won't go too in depth with that. But
Right. Well, I know we were both actually talking about it before we recorded this, and I thought it was kind of funny, but we both kind of brought up that we had toy guns as kids, and were taught by our fathers, by our uncles, by our grandfathers, how to properly handle these guns. And so a Nerf gun or a dart gun or any, just a toy gun that you can teach a young kid how to load, how to keep it pointed in a safe direction, teach him the fundamentals of shooting. I know it sounds corny, a bright orange and yellow plastic toy gun, but it's really a great way to introduce young kids into shooting sports without having the risk of danger of, let's say, a 22 or something of that nature. Yeah,
and not even having the fear that a child may feel, or nervousness.
Right.
It's something, and even though it is a toy, to get them to understand that they're not toys, and to always be safe, even if it is something that is manufactured as a toy.
Right.
To always have respect for it. We were all taught that at a young age.
I think another great one that I received from the same uncle who got me the Bowie knife and the Enfield rifle, which was very, very, very impressionable on me as a young kid, was he got me a Red Ryder BB gun, which this is a Christmas episode, there's nothing more Christmas story related than a Red Ryder carbine action 200 shot range model rifle, and that to me was just the coolest gift I could have gotten at that age. And so a BB gun or a pellet gun is a really great gift. I think I don't know about you or how old you were, if you started out shooting BB guns or anything like that.
I never started out shooting BB guns. It was pellet guns.
Okay.
Which, and I never had one, but it was going to my grandpa's house, and that was always one of the first things we wanted to do, was shoot pellet guns.
Yeah.
And we would line up cans and do all that stuff, and we had the lecture before we went out there and did it about gun safety, and my grandpa would show me his hand and say, if you're going to mess around, then you're going to get one of these across the face.
Yeah.
And, being young, I used to think, man, that would not be fun. So we always practice good gun safety, and that's kind of where I learned, how to handle a gun safely.
Yeah. And then for parents that have kids, or aunts and uncles that have nephews and nieces that are at the age where they feel that they are responsible enough to have an actual firearm. We've talked about this before, but one of the best firearms to start with would be either a 22, or if they're a little older, maybe have some experience, as a 12 gauge. There's nothing more satisfying as a kid than having a 22 or 12 gauge given to you kind of as like, hey, here you go. This is passed down, you know.
Yeah, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's a great feeling. Yeah, it really is.
All right, so what about wives to husbands, husbands to wives, significant others? What are some good Christmas gifts?
So, you know, I always call these the special occasion firearms. My wife, she's amazing. She got me a revolver when we first got married, and I love that thing. It's a .357. It was so great, and you know, it's kind of funny. You know, everyone's different, and every marriage and every relationship's going to be different, but you know, there's a lot of really cool guns, and I mean, you could get someone an XD, or you could get them a Glock, or you could get them, you know, something like that. But generally, when I think of these special occasion kind of firearms, I always think of guns that maybe I might not go out and just buy myself. Something that's maybe a little more rare or less mainstream. Something that's definitely going to be more of a keepsake, or even a safe queen, as we like to joke around, where it's going to really be kept in high regard, like some of the heirloom guns that you might receive.
Yeah.
And so then just recently for our 5-year anniversary, she got me a .44 Magnum revolver. So that was a really, really great gift. And
it's pretty nice. Have I seen it?
Yes. It's a beautiful, beautiful gun. And again, that's one that I'll maybe take out and shoot a little bit, but probably not one I'll carry all that often. It's too beautiful of a gun.
Yeah, in my opinion, those types of guns would be like your more higher end, maybe 1911s, your revolvers. I think more classic style guns when I think of that.
Right.
Lever actions.
Yes.
You know, over unders, or you know, side by sides. Shotguns.
And keeping in the theme of that, the keepsake idea, I mean, when my wife purchases a gun for me and gives it to me as a gift, and you know, and that's, you know, that special kind of bond or that item between the two of us, I envision myself giving that to one of my children. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's kind of my intention for those types of gifts, is I want them to know this was something between your mother and I, and you know, when you get old enough, this is, you know, going to be yours, or something that I could give maybe my son on his wedding day or something like that. And so,
yeah, that's kind of the idea of those.
Right. Yeah, it's just like a ring, as a woman might pass her wedding ring down to her daughter or something of that nature. It's kind of the same idea, and so yeah, those are definitely very, very thought out. However, there are some great gifts that a wife can buy for a husband, or a husband for a wife, just depending on who the shooting sports enthusiast is in the home. And those we like to call the convenience items, or convenience gifts. And these are things, we were joking, these are the things that the husband will walk out of the house with and totally forget. And I've done this probably a multitude of times now, and so these are great gifts that you can literally just buy for your husband, because I guarantee you, if he's anything like me, he's going to forget everything. So those are things like hand warmers, bug spray, sunscreen, chapstick, eyes and ear protection, and just, you know, the common things.
Those of you that listen to the Dove opener will know how important bug spray
is. Very important bug spray is.
We all forgot bug spray.
Every single one of us.
And you know, those are things that you can use. Just buy it, throw it in in the hunting pack, and just leave that there, and don't ever touch it and till you go.
Right. On that note too, and that's something that you know, I think is a really great kind of gift, is you know, like beef jerky, trail mix, things of that nature, especially some of the more artisan style, maybe the higher end, or like big game jerky, things that, you know, maybe a man might not go out and buy for himself because it's a little on the pricier side.
Yeah, because, you know, for me, going out, when I go out hunting, you know, I'm living off of Quest bars and, you know, almonds.
Yeah, protein
bars and
almonds and, you know, just whatever you can find. So having something a little nicer than that to take with you is always a really nice treat.
Yeah, and those are awesome. And, you know, like earplugs are always good.
Yes. Gloves. Yeah, even a scarf. Depending on where you're at. I mean, here in California, it doesn't generally get that cold, but
you know, hunting season's typically in the winter.
Yeah.
You know, beanies are always good. And,
yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Can be very helpful.
Yeah.
Thermals.
Or thermos, hydro flasks, things to keep your drinks warm or cold, and just little things here and there like that. The items that the everyday man is going to walk out the door and totally forget until he needs it.
Yes. Yes. Let them know you have his back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those are some great gifts.
Or her back, depending on who's the hunter in the family.
Yeah, who's the hunter.
Okay, so leading into our next hunters. What do you buy hunters for Christmas?
So this one's going to be kind of cool, just because Theodore and I have traded quite a few of these gifts already. One of the greatest things that he and I have gotten one another is calls. So game calls. Those are super important. We didn't realize how important they really are when you're hunting upland game. We just assume you go out, find them, and shoot them, and that is not the case at all.
Calls are very helpful, and they're one of those items that, if I went shopping for my own calls, I'd drop a lot of money at one time, and it's awesome to get a call as a gift, because you're like, okay, cool, it's almost one of those last things you buy yourself,
right?
But it's really cool to receive it as a gift, because it's kind of, okay, now I have my own here. And,
right.
When we first started hunting, we were using Ryan's dad's calls for the most part. He was the only one that had calls.
Yeah, and so, hey, can we borrow your calls? We're going to go this way or go that way.
And then once we separate a little bit, then whoever had the call is kind of the only one that's getting callbacks. And
yeah, and so it was really important that Christmas that everyone needs. So it was kind of like a thing in our family where every man who had been on a hunting trip with all of us, we all just kind of bought each other calls. I think I got every single call that I needed that Christmas.
Yeah, and calls are one of those things where different calls may work better than others. So if you have a couple different brands of the same style call, it might be useful. Where like a pack or something that you're going to carry all the time, like as that's something more personal that the hunter should purchase himself.
Right.
Calls are just they're awesome, because they can always be of use, even if you already have one, the same one, things break, and it's really, really good gift to give.
Well, especially for the type of hunting that we do with the upland game, all the hiking and stuff. My calls have gotten pretty beat up already, but that's just because you're moving around and you're running and hiking and everything. So yeah, those are always great. Another great thing, in my opinion, we mentioned backpacks are personal, but one great pack item that you could get. Any upland game hunter, any small game hunter, or even a big game hunter, and they come in all different shapes and sizes, are game bags. Or in our case with upland or shotgun enthusiasts would be like shell pouches, things like that. You can never have too many, and even in our case, we find oftentimes that we'll go out and we have all of our gear, and we'll take friends out to the range that have no way to carry their shells, and so they got their pockets full of shells and everything else, and so it's to me, I'd rather have an extra shell pouch or two, because I'm always going to the range with people that don't shoot regularly. Yeah,
the first time I went to the skeet range, I was so glad I wore cargo shorts.
Yeah,
because that's where all my shells went, in my cargo shorts, and my shorts were sagging down to one side because they were so heavy with 25 shells.
Right, yeah, and so that's great. Again, with big game hunters, that for them, they use those specific those special cloth bags to they're not generally not reusable. I mean, you just put the meat in them, and then when they're done, they're done. So that's always a really good purchase as
another
well.
Super useful tool for hunters, mainly bird hunters or small game hunters, is shears.
Yes.
For cutting off wings and things like that. It makes it a lot easier to clean your game when with a pair of shears. It's even more useful than a knife, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe for bigger game, the knife's a lot more useful, but for a small game, it's the shears come in big.
Yeah.
They're extremely helpful.
Yep. Yeah, they're very, very helpful. And in all honesty, any kind of skinning tool is always going to be welcomed for a hunter. Those blades, as sharp as you can keep them, and as much as you sharpen them, guys are having to change out their skinning tools all the time just to keep things, sharp and keep things well maintained. And they dull very quickly too, so it's always good to have extra sets with you.
Sharpening
tools are always
sharpening
good
tools
too.
are really good.
Yeah.
The other thing is books. Books are awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've gotten a book from Ryan as a Christmas present. And books on hunting are one of those things you can just flip through all the time.
Oh yeah.
You just leave it out and you just flip through it, and you can pick up something every time. I've been to my grandfather's house, and he just has like bird books, and that's another one. You just sit there and you flip through it, and even non-game birds, it's just interesting to see what you're going to see out there.
Right.
Those are really, really awesome gifts. Most people that hunt birds, well, at least the ones that I know, are interested by birds. And you go and you see a bird that's not even huntable, and you're like, oh, cool! I saw an osprey, or I saw a certain kind of eagle or a certain kind of hawk, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's great. Well, and then too, one of the things is learning some of those non-game birds, what they target. You have the sparrowhawks and things like that specifically target some of the same game that we're hunting, and so it's great to know their patterns, because hey, if you're seeing them, the birds that you're hunting are probably in the area as well, and so that's always good. Along with books, I know the book that I got you was not only just a hunting book, but it had cookbook and how to clean and recipes. And for some of the newer hunters, I know for me, I constantly struggle with how in the world am I going to cook this? I mean, I have my go-to recipes, but sometimes you want to try something new, and so it's really
awesome.
nice to know, oh, I can cook quail this way, I can cook a rabbit that way, or however. So it's really nice to see how other people cook, or to have something to reference, rather than just going, okay, I'm going to just throw this in the, on the barbecue or the smoker, and, and that's all I know how to do.
Yeah. So, books of all kinds are
great.
Are awesome.
Any information. And maps are great too. If you know the general area where someone's going to be hunting, honestly, even just road maps of greater areas of the greater local area of some of the BLM land, or just some of the wilderness, because oftentimes, even with technology, you can't always rely on GPSs to give you the right spot. Sometimes you're going to run out of battery, things like that. It's always good, in my opinion, to carry a map and compass wherever you go.
100%. Having a paper or physical map, even if you don't use it, it's good to have. It's really good to have, because it's always fun just to lay the map out and to have everybody look at it, where if you're trying to do that on your phone, and have three guys kind of plan something huddle around your phone, it's a little tough. At least to get the general area or the general landscape, and kind of understand what you want to do or where certain roads go, and it makes it really helpful. Yeah,
coming from a Boy Scout background too, an Eagle Scout kind of thing, I'm very, very influenced by the 10 essentials, and they tell you to carry all these different things, and one of those is a map and compass. And even if I don't have a map, I always have a compass with me. Personally, I know how to navigate without a compass, but most hunters don't know how to do that. And so even if it's something as simple as knowing where magnetic north is, it might be able to get you out of a really rough situation.
Yeah, so. And being, my experience is mostly quail, chucker. You got to follow the birds, and they can take you pretty far, especially if you hear some calls, and you can really go off the road for quite a bit following these things. Yeah, it's always a good idea to have. And maps are one of those things that are super lightweight. You're not going to add an extra pound to your pack by carrying a map. It's something simple that you can carry along with you. Yes. Another good thing for hunters, in my opinion, is first aid. Yeah. First aid's a big one, especially if you're going to be out for multiple days. And that's on top of your trauma kit. Yes. Yeah. This is just, regular old first aid.
First aid. I always say, even with first aid, to carry some over-the-counter medication, Advil, Tylenol, things like that. Something that if you were caught out there or you suffered an injury, something that could get you through 48, or more hours. Another great thing to add with the first aid kit would be a lighter, kind of a lighter, and that's always a great gift.
First aid, survival stuff.
Yeah, just any kind of survival stuff is always good.
And if they have dogs, anything that can first aid for the dogs, little bowls for water. A lot of those things come in handy too.
Packs,
can never have enough.
Packs for dogs are always good. The little saddle packs for the dogs, and you can never be too prepared. And so that's kind of the great thing about, I feel like hunters are a little easier to buy gifts for than maybe just the regular shooting sport enthusiast.
Yes, because there's so many accessories you can get for hunting.
Absolutely. And to be honest, there might be times where you go, I'm not going to need this and that, but there's going to be a day where you're going to go, you know what, this would have been perfect had I had it. And so that's why I always say the more gear, the better. I think my dad carries a camp stove in his truck with fuel, and I know I carry water purification tablets or a life straw with me everywhere I go, and so those are also really great gifts as well. Again, that falls under first aid survival type stuff. But
just a matter of preparation.
So
all that's extremely helpful.
Yeah,
I mean, even if you want to get into like emergency food, those like
my dad carries that with him.
Too. Really helpful. The really high calorie, high energy kind of emergency food that you can live off for a couple of days just in case something happens, especially with the terrain you're going into. I have a car that is all-wheel drive, and you can kind of get out there, but you never know, something can happen. You're going off-roading, you hit a rock or something, and your car's not good for to get you out of there. You're gonna either have to hike out or you just never know what time of day it is, and it's always good to have stuff like that.
Two-way radios.
Very good idea.
Very good idea. The one thing too, and I've had this said to me when I will put a list together online of like my wish list items, and I've got all kinds of gear, and it's always funny. People go, well, you're not really carrying all that with, that'd be like hundreds of pounds of gear with you. And Theodore's right. You can have all that stuff with you in your vehicle. Your vehicle might break down, but in our case, the type of hunting that we do, it's not like we're hiking back into the backwoods for 10 days at a time. No. We're staying within 5 to 10 miles of the truck at the furthest. And so the idea would be to just carry enough on you to get back to the truck, and you can never have too much gear. You could throw all of that in your truck and pretty much be able to survive right there for 3-4 days. And that's kind of the idea when I say get gear for hunters. It's just get them anything and everything they might possibly need. No hunter's ever going to turn down gear that they have double of, because you can always put it in another bag.
Yes, and stuff always breaks.
It does, yeah. So it's always good to have backups.
So let's get back to the cigar.
Yeah.
You're quite a little bit further than me, right?
Yeah, I'm actually towards the last third now.
Yeah, I'm about the second third. I haven't really noticed a change in flavor. It kind of has felt the same, maybe smoothed out a little bit. It seemed a little more spicy at the beginning.
Yes.
And now it really doesn't. It's got a very good aroma.
Yeah, it really wasn't. I was expecting this to be a lot stronger than it was.
Yes, I haven't gotten lightheaded or anything at all. No. And I am self-proclaimed lightweight when it comes to smoking cigars. So,
oh, yeah. No,
this is definitely not overpowering.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I couldn't agree more. I think it actually had more of a bite in the beginning. I feel like mine has stayed very consistent. It's smoothed out. What is just blowing my mind is the amount of smoke that this is producing. And I know some guys don't like that. They would rather have a little bit lighter of a smoke. But for me, when I smoke a cigar, I want a really full amount of smoke. And this has not let me down at all. In fact, I'm not. You and I both are mild cigar guys, and I would smoke this all the time. It's that good.
About going into the second third, I had to kind of touch it up a little bit. I don't necessarily think that was due to the poor construction. I think it was due to poor lighting. But for the most part, it hasn't needed a lot of. You didn't need to babysit it very much. I've gone maybe a few minutes without puffing on the thing, and it stays lit. No problems.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good so far. I could see why Lee was smoking these regularly.
Well, and it does. I know we've discussed this on so many different occasions, I feel like, but I know you're one that doesn't really like to smoke while doing things.
Yes.
Like golfing or yard work, and I'm, on the other hand, am the opposite. I love having a cigar with me when I'm golfing, fishing, working in the yard or the garage and things like that. And so I can see why he would take this golfing, because this is one that I actually relit mine only just to give it a fresh light. It wasn't out or anything. I just wanted to give it a little more. But I think the longest I've probably left this sitting down there was like 4 minutes, it felt like, and didn't even need, it didn't really need anything. It's staying lit. Like you could literally get back in the cart, drive down to the ball, hit again, and then pick it up and puff it. It's just, it's great.
I would say my only concern with, maybe doing something with this is the heavy smoke output.
Yeah.
That might bother me a little bit. It doesn't bother me sitting here and talking at all, but it might be a little...
a bit much.
It might get in the way.
Oh, yeah.
With golf.
Yeah.
I see you're finished with your drink.
Yes.
What did you think?
Oh, it's delicious. It's smooth, it's easy. As the ice began to melt, though, I have to say I don't generally care one way or the other as the ice melts. This one, I like the flavor better from the beginning. It definitely watered out a little more. It wasn't bad by any means, but it was great from the start. I didn't need anything. I probably could drink that very easily neat.
That's funny that you say that, because I think the exact same thing, and we did not rehearse this at all, because this is our first time tasting this together. I've had it before. One thing that I noticed right now is as the ice has melted in this, it lost its punch from the beginning. When I first tasted it, I go, man, this is really, really, really good, really flavorful. And now it's just kind of smooth, but watery. I've had other whiskeys where other flavors seem to be enhanced, where the water kind of mellows out, like the charcoal, the oaky flavor.
Yeah.
This one didn't seem to do that. It mellowed everything out.
Yeah.
So I think if I was to pour another glass, maybe I would drink it neat, or maybe just one ice cube. Nothing too. I don't want too much water in it the next time. But overall, the aroma's still there. You can still smell the fruitiness.
Yeah. In fact, actually, I just tossed my ice out. Would you mind pouring just a little bit in there neat? I'm really curious just to see what it would be neat. I think you're right. I think the ice really. I don't think I would really ever drink that with ice, or like you said, just one cube, or maybe a large one of those spheres of ice, or even whiskey stones would be good.
Oh yeah, whiskey stones would be good.
It would get it just cool enough to where, because I like to have it on the cooler side, but I'm just curious, neat on this, how it's going to taste. Oh wow, that's really good. I don't know if you want to try that, but that is...
Let me get a little flavor. A little taste.
I don't even know. Yeah, to me, I don't think I would ever drink that on the rocks again after tasting that. That is really good.
This is probably one of the smoothest I've ever had neat.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really good.
Because it's really funny how sometimes you can have a really, really, really smooth whiskey on the rocks, even on the initial pour, where there's no water, there's nothing, it hasn't melted down, it hasn't been diluted at all, and it's really smooth. Maybe it's just because it's cold or something like that. But with this one, for whatever reason, it's just it's smooth. Like, to me, it's just better. like that. Just better neat. It's just, it's good.
Yeah, that
surprisingly
actually surprised me because
really good.
I've always preferred my whiskeys with ice, and I've always liked that little melt of the ice. But wow, that surprises me, and maybe that's just because I don't drink whiskey in this price range too often. That could be that. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to make some more expensive purchases and see. See what we think.
Our wallets are gonna be hurting.
Well, let's get back. What you have any other gift ideas that you can buy someone that's into firearms or into hunting or?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't have a few, like a whole lot more, but I do have a few, and these are a little more obscure. I feel like we've covered the bulk of what you can get guys for hunting and shooting sports, but these are a little more obscure. So one of the big things that to me is something that I feel like is a staple gift between family members and just some of my friends are paying for fees and licenses. Oftentimes I'll get my dad, cash or check towards, hey, this is for your fishing license this year, or this is for your hunting license for next year, or something like that. And that's really popular. As much as I love being a responsible hunter, and I love getting my license for fishing and hunting every year. It really is just unpleasant to have to go down and spend like $50 on a license, especially when nothing's in season yet. And like, oh man, I just dropped $50 and I got to wait 6 months to even get anything that we even hunt in season,
Yeah, and typically, if you're like me, you're getting your license, right before a trip, and you're spending all this other money on ammo. It's your first trip of the year, so you're probably, you need to stock up on pretty much everything.
Yep.
And if someone can take care of those fees for you, it really helps you out a lot.
It's always nice knowing I have like a gift card for exactly $50 or 48, whatever it is, $48.75 for that year's license on a gift card that I can go down and be like, this is my fishing license this year. This is my hunting license this year.
Yes, that's pretty awesome.
I guess it's really not an obscure gift. It's just a gift no one really thinks about. But if you're in the community that hunts and fishes, it's actually a pretty common gift.
Yeah, and you appreciate it. You realize how much how valuable that is. Another gift that I think for gun owners in general is training. That it's very overlooked. A lot of people buy weapons and don't ever train with them.
Yeah.
Or, they, just kind of just keep them in their safe, and they go out and they shoot and they take them back, and they don't they don't ever learn how to properly use them. And that's something that can be very valuable. It could be a little expensive.
Yeah.
But it might be something that someone might not buy themselves.
Right.
So, I would, somebody bought me a training at somewhere, I would love it,
Yeah.
It's almost one of those things that you kind of take the research out of it for them.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, this is where I'm
you're going to this class,
right,
and we're
perfect.
Yeah, we're going together. Yeah. And that's a great gift too if you wanted to get someone into a specific sport as well. Hey man, here I got you your hunter safety course this year for your birthday, or I got you this or that, and you could do it with CCW training. The other great thing that I think falls under training but isn't necessarily training is range fees or tokens for like at the local range that we shoot, trap, and skeet at. You need tokens per round. And so to buy a batch of 10 or 20 tokens, for somebody, say, here you go, Merry Christmas. It's like, oh man, that's awesome. Now we get to go shoot clays, and I don't have to worry about paying, $7 to $10 a round of, clays, or you can buy entry or hours at a range and stuff like that. So that's always a really great gift as well.
That's really helpful. And it's one of those things where no matter what level you are, it's always helpful.
Yeah, it's always nice to have free range time.
Yeah.
So that's always a good one. And then last but not least, now this to me would be like this is as expensive, if not more expensive than maybe buying someone a firearm just outright. Would be a hunting excursion. a trip up to Alaska, or hey, we're going to go out and, there's some of the hunt clubs that raise their own upland game, or even I know they've got farms for deer hunting and things like that where
guided trips.
And so that's always a really, really great gift. Again, that's a very expensive gift, but it's a really cool gift to get somebody that might not otherwise would never go on a trip like that.
It's another one of those things too where if you're like me, you can get lost in researching and stuff like that. And, if I was looking for a guided trip, I, might spend months researching it, and really, you don't need it.
No.
If somebody took care of that for me and said, hey, you're going to go here this day, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Take all the thinking out of it and just do it.
Just do it. There are some reasonable little trips around here, at least for us, where, they're under $200, where you can go and do some really fun upland game hunting for people that maybe aren't familiar with hunting but don't want to go out and hike for 10 miles or 20 miles and not get anything.
Yeah.
So it's a really great way to get people into a position where they're like, oh man, this is awesome. I wanna hunt.
Yeah, and that's also awesome for beginners. And the reason why is because not everybody, is like me and is okay with walking so many miles and then not catching anything or shooting anything or not even taking a shot.
Yeah.
Going a whole season and only shooting one round.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go on a trip where somebody's going to show you where the birds are and, have a dog for you and everything, that can really light the fire under somebody and say, hey, this is really awesome. I really enjoyed this and I want to do this now.
Yeah, and if you're someone who already hunts and is already familiar with it to the point where you could essentially take somebody on a trip, that would be a really cheap way to do a hunting excursion without having to pay for a trip.
Yeah.
Just saying, hey, for your birthday, I got you your hunter safety course and your license and you're coming with me to hunt, or if they already have it, then it's like, for your birthday, I'm taking you out to go do this, or so there's some really cool options with that. So, but I think that's pretty much. I think that's kind of it for me. I can't really think of too much else.
Yeah, that really covers it. I mean, all in all, I think what we're trying to get out to people is don't be afraid to buy something.
Yeah.
A lot of things. There are a lot of useful gifts out there.
Right.
I don't. Like I said, I don't think this is like any other hobby where everything's so specific that you're afraid to buy them.
Yeah.
But buy something for somebody because you think, oh well, they only like a certain particular thing.
Yeah.
With there's such a wide range of things you can buy somebody that's into firearms that it makes perfect gifts.
Yeah. The other piece of advice that I would give for those of you still on the fence of like, okay, yeah, these are some great ideas, I still have no idea. One of the biggest piece of advice I can give you is don't be afraid to ask either. That's one of those things where I really appreciate it when someone wants to know what I'm interested in and wants to know, hey, Christmas is coming up or your birthday's coming up. Was there anything in particular you needed for hunting? And, I'm not going to be like, well, it'd be great to have a Super Black Eagle 3 if you could spend $1,500 on me today. No, there's a lot. I love it because it allows us to open up and actually talk about the sport that we love and that we're so passionate about. And so, for me, it's always really cool. It's a really great teaching opportunity oftentimes, and it also makes us feel great to know like, oh man, they're really interested in what we're interested in too. And so, I would say if you're still like, oh man, I have no idea, don't hesitate to ask. I mean, that's always a really great way to figure it out. I mean,
I agree 100%. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think we should wrap it up.
Absolutely.
Everybody have a good Merry Christmas.
Yep.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
Hopefully Smoke the Podcast will put out a lot more episodes next year.
Yeah, 2019.
Thank you for everybody for your support.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Smoke the Podcast, signing off.
Merry Christmas.